Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can see and hear me clearly, please drop a one in the live chat, and then we can get today's show started. And while I'm waiting for the ones to come into the live chat, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because, of course, that is the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that it helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and do yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as hitting the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms as well to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, that does help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And it looks like I might be having an issue because I'm showing some people are in the live chat, but it looks like the video at the same time is not showing or is not working. Can I get a one, please? Okay, Hurricane IQ, thank you very much. This is like, okay, what's happening here? All right, so Hurricane IQ dropped the one. We can now get into the show. And because I had to take a moment to make sure that I was live, I didn't get a one, I'm going to extend the intro just a little bit longer now. If you're not following me on Rumble, please make sure you follow me on Rumble. I am simulcasting on Rumble right now. Follow me on Rumble at TD Media Group. And also, please make sure you follow me on Telegram as well at TD Media Group. Also, that is extremely important that you follow me on those two places. Follow me on Rumble, and also please make sure you follow me on Telegram, and I'll put the Telegram banner down there just for a little bit. So now let's get the show started. Now that we got the long-winded intro out the way, and now that the ones have come in, we can get this show started. And I want to start the show out by speaking to Black men. All you Black men listening to me, it's time for us to stop playing around, stop playing games, stop being dumb and stupid, okay? We have to unite, and we have to get behind Queen Kamala Harris. Or Kamala Harris, I'm sorry. We have to get behind, that's hate speech, you know? We have to get behind Queen Kamala Harris. We have to, brothers, we have to get behind her. We have to make sure that we elect the first Black woman president of the United States. Because if we don't do that, then Auntie Maxine is going to have a problem. She's not going to be happy. She'll never let us live it down if we vote for Trump and not for Queen Kamala Harris.
And for those Black young men who think somehow they can align themselves with Trump, not only are they terribly mistaken, any of them showing their face, I will never, ever forgive them for undermining the possibility to help their own people and their own communities. It is absolutely unconscionable. It is shameful. But if they would spend some time with us, we would help them to know what we're struggling for.
You Black men don't know what they're struggling for. And if you would spend some time with them, they would be able to assist you and help you in all your ignorance and stupidity. We must unite, brothers. We must unite and as Black men and get behind Kamala Harris. And this is why I'm inviting you all out. And shout out to Nicety Girl for posting this on her Twitter, right? Shout out to you, Nicety Girl. We all have to get behind Kamala Harris and be available during this function here. Let me pull it up for you right now. Make it a little bit bigger on the screen. Once again, shout out to Nicety Girl on Twitter. Black Men for Harris. We all need to show up to Black Men for Harris. Hosted by Roland Martin on the Black Star Network. Monday, July 22nd, 2024 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it looks like we missed it already. It looks like we missed it. But it's not too late. You know, it's not too late for us to band together as Black men and show the support that Queen Kamala Harris deserves. As we saw these men here did yesterday. Michael A. Blake, Khalil Thompson, Bakari Sellers, and Quentin James. And speaking of Bakari Sellers, he gave a deeply passionate speech at the Black Men for Harris extravaganza that this was. Okay. He gave a riveting speech, a heart-wrenching speech, and he even broke down in tears. He cried. This brother cried his eyes out over the idea of Kamala Harris becoming president of the United States. He's also a CNN correspondent, by the way. I don't know what it is with black male CNN correspondents always crying, but here we go. Here we go.
The black man in this country. I'm not sure people understand what it means to stand strong in this country. I'm not sure people understand what it means to have your back against the wall. And so now it's my turn. And I really don't care.
Whew, he said, so now it's my turn. Speak on it, brother. We got to get Kamala Harris in office. We got to get Kamala Harris in office. Let me rewind that back just a little bit. Wait a minute. I think he said, y'all don't understand what it is to be a black man in this country.
Suffering that goes along with being a black man in this country.
You don't understand the suffering that goes along being a black man in this country. And that's why we have to get behind Kamala Harris.
Suffering that goes along with being a black man in this country. I'm not sure people understand what it means to stand strong in this country. I'm not sure people understand what it means to have your back against the wall. And so now it's my turn. And I really don't care what you all say about there's another black man crying or this or that or the third. Because every day I'm gonna work damn hard to make sure that tomorrow's better than yesterday.
I know that's right.
And so donate, stand up, activate. Because if we do not change the country we're living in, our daughters, our sons are gonna have hell to pay.
Oh my God, they are. If you didn't know any better, you would have thought that we were still living in 1945 or something like that. You know, if you didn't know any better, you would think that it was still like 1950 something, 1960 something. You would think it's still like 1892. You know, listening to Bakari Sellers cry at this Black Men United Summit for Queen Kamala Harris. And Dr. Gregory Parker, I don't know what is up with all of these soft CNN men. I don't understand what's going on with all this crying that these guys do, right? But in all seriousness now, let's get to, you know, who and what we're really here for, right? You know, now that I got that out the way, I wanted to make sure that I pledged my support and, you know, make sure that all black men come out, stand strong for Kamala Harris, right? Because if she doesn't win, apparently our sons and our daughters are really going to catch it. You know, they're really going to catch it because you know what's going to happen if Trump wins, right? I think we all know what's going to happen to black folks if Trump wins.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Trump's going to bring back slavery.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
He's going to bring back the whips and the chains. We're going to be picking cotton again if Donald Trump wins.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
And that's why we have to get behind Queen Kamala Harris, because if not,
they're going to put you all back in chains.
They're going to put us back in chains. Now, what I want to do is let's switch gears, right? You guys came here for Charlamagne the God and Stephen A. Smith. So let's speak on that for a moment. Let's touch on Charlamagne and Stephen A. Smith for a moment, because these two have now come out and fully endorsed Kamala Harris for president of the United States, something that they were unwilling to do for Joe Biden, which I find very interesting, but we'll dive a little bit more into why I find that interesting in just a moment. What I want to do now is play a quick clip from CNN in which Charlamagne discussed his support for Kamala Harris. And he also took a moment to touch on the questions and concerns around Kamala Harris being a DEI hire, right? So I want to take a moment to do that. Let's take a listen to what Charlamagne, the lesser charged God, has to say. And for those of you who might be wondering, well, why would you refer to Charlamagne as the lesser charged God? I'm glad that you asked, because I almost forgot to show you this. Now, for those of you who don't know, years ago, before Charlamagne became the voice of Black America, before that, he was just some dusty man in what's it called? Monk's Corner, South Carolina. You know, he was broke, didn't have much going on, and he messed around and caught himself a child's play case, you know? Got involved in a little alleged child's play. I think you all know what I mean by that, child's play. The charges would eventually be dropped, and then he would plead guilty to a lesser charge. And that's why I call him Charlamagne the Lesser Charge God. Let's read this really quick, because this is the voice of Black America, you know, politically speaking, right? So let's look into the past of the voice of Black America. Charlamagne the Lesser Charge God. In 2001, McKelvey was accused of SA after a party. He denied having relations with the accuser and cooperated with authorities, providing DNA evidence which failed to support the claim that he had relations with the victim. So DNA cleared him. Okay, that's fine. The SA charges were dropped, and he later pled guilty to a misdemeanor count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, for which he received 3 years probation. Now, the woman in question, if I remember correctly, stated that she was, to put it in a child-friendly manner, ran through by a couple of gentlemen at this party. She claimed that Charlamagne was one of them. She was a child at the time, legally, right? She was a minor at the time. DNA evidence seems to have cleared Charlamagne, which is fine. That's good. But once again, he did plead guilty to a lesser charge of misdemeanor count of contributing to delinquency of a minor. So what we're looking at here is, you know, hey, man, I didn't, you know, do with her, but technically I am guilty of providing this young girl, this minor, with party favors at a party that she shouldn't have been to with grown men. And after I assisted her with the party favors, I assisted her to, you know, some other guys that I know, you know, Charlamagne with the assist. I didn't do anything with her. I don't know what they did with her. I don't know anything about it. But technically, I'm guilty of providing party favors, you know, to a minor. Henceforth, why he pled guilty to that. And then after that, like I said, Charlamagne with the assist. And whatever happened in between her with those other guys, I don't know. I don't know. So shout out to Charlamagne the Lesser Charge God, the voice of Black America, the Black Messiah. Now let's take a listen to, you know, what he had to say, right? Because clearly now, especially now more than ever, after knowing his past, what's important is what he thinks and how he feels about Kamala Harris, because he is the Black Messiah. So let's get into that.
Hear white Republican. Charlamagne, what's your response when you hear white Republican congressman referring to Vice President Harris as a DEI hire?
I would say MAGA has a lot of DEI hires too. You know, conservatives have a lot of DEI hires, but DEI stands for delusion, entitlement, and idiocracy. Because they're delusional because they think Donald Trump is their savior. They're entitled because they're a bunch of privileged white men who want everybody else to stay in their place. And the idiocracy comes into play because that's the movie the RNC convention reminded me of the other night.
Charlamagne is hands down. To be this flagrantly fake is unbelievable. There's a handful of videos that I can play right now that you have all heard me play a million times before, and I'll spare you on this stream, that highlights his fakeness. How when he openly stated that Joe Biden was worse for the Black community than Donald Trump, and that Joe Biden has done far worse to the Black community than Donald Trump. It's a video that I've played a million times. I'm not going to play it right now. But concerning this whole DEI question, concerning DEI, right? First and foremost, it wasn't that long ago, back in April to be exact, where Charlamagne literally trashed DEI. He trashed DEI. Charlamagne believes DEI initiatives are mostly garbage and just corrupt PR. He literally said this on live television. I believe it was, what's the name of that show? Charlamagne the God blasting the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative launched by major companies as corporate PR. The radio TV personality served as a guest on The Daily Show on April 3rd. It was on April 3rd on The Daily Show when he literally trashed DEI, made a whole joke out of it, turned it into a complete mockery, said it was nonsense, said it was mostly garbage and just foolish corporate PR. What followed up behind that was a whole lot of backlash. The NAACP came at Charlamagne. Roland Martin Unfiltered came after Charlamagne. All types of black folks came after Charlamagne for him trashing DEI initiatives. Now here he is championing DEI. Now, some of you may be saying, but TD, she's not a DEI hire. She's not a DEI hire. Her qualifications are qualifications. What are you saying? That black women can't be qualified to be vice president and to be president of the United States? Nobody's saying that. I would never say anything so foolish, but that is not the basis upon which Kamala Harris was brought aboard as vice president. This was back in August 10th of 2020. 100 black male leaders signed statement for black woman VP. So these guys wanted a black woman VP. They didn't want who was best qualified for the job. They didn't say give a black woman a shot to prove herself. They said we want a black woman VP. Don't give us anybody else. We want our vice president based on the fact that she's black and black alone. This letter here was written by, of all people, Sean Diddy Combs. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see, right? This letter was written by Sean Diddy Combs. And I want to just read the first sentence of this letter to prove my point. So Sean Diddy Combs wrote, as someone who has said throughout the campaign that VP Joe Biden needs to choose a black woman VP. What? Diddy did write this. As someone who said throughout the campaign that Vice President Joe Biden, I got it. That Vice President Joe Biden. Okay, I got it. Should have put like some commas or something like that in there. Anyways, sorry, my bad. Maybe it's just me. Sorry, Diddy. You have other problems on your hand right now. You have big problems on your hand right now. So, I won't add this to it and say that you're a bad writer. It was me, Diddy. It was me. So take 3. As someone who has said throughout the campaign that Vice President Joe Biden needs to choose a black woman VP, the urgency for that pick has gone from something that should happen to something that has to happen. He even has these words in all capital letters. I'm going to read that sentence one more time. They're not saying anything here about qualifications. This letter here, written by Sean Diddy Combs and signed by 100 black male leaders, says at the very top of the sentence that Joe Biden must hire a black woman vice president. I'm going to read that one last time. As someone who has said throughout the campaign that Vice President Biden needs to choose a black woman VP, he needs to. The urgency for that pick has gone from something that should happen, in all capital letters, to something that has to happen. Not based on qualifications, but just based on the fact that she's black. Once again, I'm not saying that black women aren't qualified. Don't get mad at the truth. You read stuff like this off and folks start getting mad. People get upset and they get mad. Oh, you're saying that black women can't do. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that the premises upon which Kamala Harris was selected had nothing to do with qualifications. And you saw that within the first sentence that we read there. 100 black male leaders signed this letter. Guess who was the first signature at the top after Diddy's signature who signed off on the letter? You guessed it. Charlamagne, the lesser charged God. He was the first person at the top of that list. Look at Charlamagne, the lesser charged God. Number 1. Couldn't wait to sign it. He signed that letter first. And then, as you can see, as the election went on and things move forward, this continued to prove itself true. Joe Biden pressed again to name a Black woman as his hiring runmate. Well, why? Why can't it just be who's best qualified? Why does it have to be a Black woman? Granted, Kamala Harris is an Indian woman, but that's neither here nor there. We're not going to get into all that right now. I'm just saying, I'm just laying out the facts of what actually happened. People are trying to rewrite history as if Kamala Harris was picked based on qualifications. That's not true. That isn't true. You're looking at the articles right in front of you. It was solely on the basis of her being Black. And that's cool if that's what you want to do. If that's what type of time you're on and that's what you want to do, that's fine. But just stand on it. These guys don't want to stand on it. They want to play games and then spin it around on you and then say, oh, you're saying that a Black woman can't. Nobody said that. We're just going based off of what you stated. Just like when Joe Biden stated here, Biden pledged to put a Black woman on the Supreme Court. Here's what he might have to do. Once again, he's pledging to put a Black woman based on the fact that she's Black. You can't have it both ways. And this is the kind of stuff that gets Black folks tripped up all the time. Too many of us want to have it both ways. You want to sit up there and you want to say, we need to have a Black woman on the Supreme Court. And I'm not talking about like you and me, but just in general. Oh, we got to have a Black woman. It needs to be a Black woman. Okay, so you want not simply who's the best qualified, but you want a Black woman. And then when you get called out for it, oh, you're being racist. You're saying that she's not qualified. Nobody said that. People are basing it off of what you said. It says right here, Biden pledged to put a Black woman on the Supreme Court. Here's what he might have to do. This isn't qualification talk. It's race talk. And that's fine. But stand on it. That's all I'm saying. Stand on that. Don't run from it. And people are trying to run from it now. But let's get back into what Charlamagne the Lesser Charged God has to say, right? Concerning his support for Kamala Harris. Let's get back to that.
By Mike Judge. Charlamagne, you previously called both Joe Biden and Donald Trump trash candidates, and you said you would vote in this election, but you would not endorse Biden. Now that he's out, do you think you might endorse Vice President Kamala Harris should she get the nomination?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely would endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. I supported Kamala Harris in 2020 when she ran for president. I was out there on the campaign trail with her. She was the only reason that I voted for the Biden-Harris ticket to begin with. And, we have our, disagreements on air and off air. But I think that, she is the perfect person, to be in to fight in these unprecedented times right now. So
Angela,
I would absolutely support her.
Angela, what do you make of Donald Trump saying that he is building support among Black voters?
Nobody wants to hear what Angela has to say. Thank you very much, Angela. You can have a seat. We're not interested in what you have to say. Going back to Charlamagne once again, he highlighted that Charlamagne stated that both Trump and Biden were trash. The basis upon which Charlamagne refused to endorse Joe Biden was because he felt Biden was trash. Had nothing to do with his age. This is well documented on his channel because I cover Charlamagne so much. He was very consistent with not liking Joe Biden because Joe Biden, and I quote, doesn't have any main character energy. How many times do we hear Charlamagne say that? He doesn't have any main character energy, right? And since he doesn't have any main character energy, he's trash and I don't support him. But the thing is this, and here's where the logic goes out the window. Kamala Harris is his VP. Kamala's his VP. His policies are Kamala's policies. That's his running mate. If something were to happen to him, she would be next in line. She supports and co-signs everything he does. Since she's been vice president, has she gone up against the grain of anything that Joe Biden has done? No, because his policies are her policies. So how can you say the president is trash, but then turn around and say, I want that vice president who was right next to him, putting together and putting forth all these trash policies and trash initiatives and being a trash president? You can't have one guy who's a trash president and then have the person next to him be the vice president, but they're not trash too. No, that's his right-hand man. They're both trash. They're both trash if we're being logical, but this isn't about being logical. This is about Charlamagne, the lesser charged God, being the Democrat shield that he is, doing what he has to do to make sure that black folks come out and vote blue no matter who, to no avail, as they always do. He couldn't wait to vote blue no matter who. He's one of those black folks that love to lie and say that they're independent when they're not. He'll sit up there and he'll tell you how he's independent, just like Stephen A. Smith. And then when you look at their voting record or you start asking them about their voting record, they vote Democrat down the line every single time, year after year, election after election after election. Every single time. Right? So now what I want to do is I want to shift gears. And shout out to Rob from Black Light Revelations 2. Thank you. Please hit the like button if you haven't already and share the stream. Support the channel. We are almost at 100K. Oh, I appreciate you, Rob, for adding that little extra in there. We are almost at 100,000 subscribers. So, you know, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. But now let's get off of Charlamagne the Lesser Charged God. I want to shift on over to Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith has now come out in support of Kamala Harris as well. He's now come out in support of Kamala Harris. And what's interesting about this quick clip that I'm going to play here is that Stephen A. Smith was very cleverly did not say anything about Kamala Harris being black or being a woman or anything like that. Stephen A. Smith is a smart guy. I know you disagree with Stephen A. Smith about a lot of things, and I do too, and stuff like that. And we throw around a lot. Oh, this person's dumb. That person's dumb. This person's stupid. That person's stupid. Blah, blah, blah. And I get all that. But Stephen A. Smith is not a dumb guy. He's not. Charlamagne, the lesser charged God, that's a different story. That's a different story. What did Sanford and Son? You big dummy. You know, Charlamagne, you big dummy. You know, but when it comes to Stephen A. Smith, he's nobody's fool. He might say give some really bad sports takes sometimes, but he's not dumb. And it was very interesting to see him pivot around the whole conversation about him being a black man and, you know, a black woman being VP, and black women are going to get behind this black woman VP, even though she's an Indian woman raised by her Indian family and her Indian culture. You know, but you were to get behind, it's going to be the first black woman president, and black woman this, black woman that. Stephen A. on that and didn't even bring that up because he sees how complicated that conversation has begun, right? Concerning the whole DEI argument, because there's a long paper trail, as I just showed you, of articles that show that Kamala Harris was hired just simply because she was cosplaying as being black, not because of her qualifications, right? So let's get into that. Let's hear what Stephen A. Smith has to say as we head on out of here.
One, so you're okay with this?
Give me just a second.
Two things. One, so you're okay with this manipulated process because of who she is. You did not mention that Harris would be the first female president,
Right.
or let alone the first black female president.
Right.
Why not?
Because I don't care at this particular point. I'm about what's best for America. That's the number one thing that I want to. Of course, as a black man, I would be incredibly proud if she were to become president of the United States. But it's primarily because of her qualifications as a black woman, not because.
He's really good. Watch. Like I said, he's nobody's fool. Okay. He knows what the conversation is. He knows everything that's surrounding the DEI conversation and DEI president, DEI vice president. He's gonna like run down her qualifications right now, and he's gonna just boom, 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 boom. I'm telling you, like he gives really bad takes on a lot of things, but he's nobody's fool. He's nobody's fool. He's sharp. Stephen A. Smith is sharp. He's no Charlamagne the lesser charged God. I will give him that. Now let's watch Stephen A. work.
If she were to become president of the United States, but it's primarily because of her qualifications as a black woman, not because she's a black woman. She's the former district attorney in San Francisco, former attorney general in the state of California, a U.S. senator. She's put in the time, she's put in the work, she has the credentials, she has the intellect, she has the fiery personality. If you let it out and you don't muzzle her like the administration presumably did, all of those things come into place. As a black man, I will not apologize for wanting somebody black in that position. I voted for Barack Obama. It wasn't an option. It wasn't an option. I had to vote for him in 2008. The first opportunity for a black person to become president of the United States, absolutely. But once that transpires and that precedent has been set and history has been made, now we dial it back to those qualifications even more so. Not to say that he wasn't qualified, but certainly even more so. And when you look at it from that standpoint,
She's more qualified than he was.
That's right. Just like he said Hillary was more qualified
Stephen A can spit. You can't lie. He can spit.
than he was as a junior senator back in 2007, 2008. So I look at it from that standpoint. I would be very, very happy. But the state of affairs that exist in this country, we have to make sure that it's somebody that's qualified. She is qualified. Make no mistake about it. But I'm not thinking about black, white, or anything like that. I'm thinking about the best person for the job.
No, interesting take.
Shout out to Mr. AMG. I appreciate you for being the first person to contribute to today's stream. Thank you very much, Mr. AMG, for the $20 super chat. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the support that you show me. The support does not go unnoticed, and it is deeply appreciated and needed. Thank you very much. I can always count on Rob from Blacklight Revelations to come with some smart aleck response. You know, you say something, you know, and you try to give somebody props. Rob don't give nobody he don't like props. Rob doesn't give anybody that he doesn't like props. Even if it's true, he's going to come up with something to just zing you with it. You know, I say, I ain't going to lie. You know, hey, Stephen A can spit. Yeah, he can spit shine, you know, like a tap dancing raccoon. I can always count on Rob. But yeah, man, you know, once again, even going to with Stephen A. Smith now, he very cleverly talked around the whole DEI thing, unlike Charlamagne, because Charlamagne isn't clever at all. But the same thing goes with Charlamagne. Stephen A. Smith refused to support and get behind Biden for the same reason that Charlamagne did. He felt that he was not a good candidate. He would not endorse him because he wasn't a good candidate, and he disagreed with quite a bit concerning his policies, and things are revolving around illegal immigration. Remember, Stephen A. Smith got into a bit of trouble not too long ago with the left, you can say, because the way he critiqued what was going on with the migrant crisis in New York City, and critiquing Eric Adams and all the money that he has spent on illegal immigrants in New York. He caught a lot of flack for that. So there are those aspects there that he doesn't agree with concerning Joe Biden and Biden's administration. But the thing is, and once again, in closing, you can't separate Kamala from Biden. You can't say Biden was trash, Biden wasn't good, I don't support or get behind Biden because of X, Y, and Z, but then turn around and say, I support his vice president. They're one and the same. Like I stated earlier, you've never heard Kamala Harris come out, or Kamala Harris. Now I'm so like paranoid about how I'm saying her name. You've never heard Kamala Harris come out and speak out against Joe Biden regarding any of his policies, regarding anything about him, because his policies are her policies. So if you're voting for Kamala, you're voting for Biden. You can't say Biden was garbage, but Kamala isn't. They're the same people. They were the same policies. So what that tells you is that these folks were just always looking for a reason to vote blue no matter who. Stephen A. Smith is another one who sits up here and pretends to be an independent when he is not an independent at all. Stephen A. Smith is not an independent. He is 100% a vote blue no matter who. Don't ever let him lie to you. And he's even admitted that himself on multiple occasions, stating that he is an independent, but I mostly only vote Democrat. I'll tell you this much in closing. I'd say 9 out of 10 times when somebody black tell you that they're independent, they're lying. They're Democrat. They just feel weird and kind of feel a little self-conscious about saying that they're Democrat, considering the fact that black folks have been voting blue no matter who to no avail since 1964, with not much to show for it where it counts, right? in the areas in society where it counts. So a lot of folks will just say, oh, well, you know, I'm an independent. Not. Stephen A. Smith and Charlamagne the Lesser Charged God are not. They are vote blue no matter who, as they always have been. And they could not wait to show it and throw their support behind Kamala Harris. And with all that being said, that does it for today's stream. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends. And also, don't forget to follow me on Rumble. Follow me on Rumble at TD Media Group. I'm simulcasting on Rumble right now as we speak. Also, I'm simulcasting on Twitter. Shout out to the 26 of you all watching on Twitter. If you haven't already, please make sure you migrate over to the YouTube channel TD Media Group so that you can participate in the lively live chat. And also, lastly, which is also extremely important, please don't forget to follow me at Telegram or on Telegram. Telegram at TD Media Group, Telegram at TD Media Group. Thank you all for your time. And until the next video, peace and have a great evening. Catch you all tomorrow.